Hello everyone, I hope you are all doing well. In this video I will be discussing about data types in Python, and inside that I will be discussing about checking data types, numeric types, boolean types, and finally about non-type. So let's get started. Before going to the data type, I'm going to discuss about a feature of Python which we all know about it. We know that Python is dynamically typed programming language. So now let's discuss what does it mean that we are saying Python is dynamically typed programming language. We know that in other programming language, if we want to assign a value to a variable, first we need to specify the type of the variable. But in Python, for example, if I want to assign 45 to a variable called num, I do not need to specify the type of variable, since Python will dynamically specify the type of my variable. And later on, if I want to change the value of my variable to some decimal point, still I do not need to take care, because Python will automatically convert the type of my variable. This property of Python is called dynamically typed. So that's why we are calling that Python is dynamically typed programming language, since we are not specifying the type of variable, and the type of variable can change or can vary anytime. Now let us discuss about data types in Python. We know that data types are usually used to classify and represent the types of data. So now let us ask a question: why do we need to know the classification of data? Why do we need to know what type of data we have, or what type of variable we have? And the answer for this question is this: that when we want to do an operation on our data, we need to know the type of data. For example, if our data is integer, we are able to multiply those numbers, we are able to add those numbers, we are able to subtract those numbers. And if our type of data is not number, is not decimal, it's not float, it's not integer, for example it is a string, we cannot add them, and instead of addition they will be concatenated. So that's the reason that we need to know the type of our data. So now how can we check our data type? For example, in Python we know that we do not need to specify our data type. Then how can we check the type of our data? Whenever we want to check the type of our data types in Python, we can use the function type. Now let us discuss about numeric types in Python. In Python we have three types of numeric data type. Integer, we know that integer can represent all integer numbers from -infinity to +infinity. So it can be -5, it can be 5, it can be -10, it can be 0. Float, this is the second numeric data types that we have, and it will contain all floating points and decimal points number from -infinity to +infinity. Let's get started and giving example for int. For example, if we have number and we have 89. Now we know that the type of this, we do not need to specify the type for this variable. But if I want to print the type of it, and I want to ensure myself that what is the type of this variable, I will say type number. See, it is already integer, since it is integer number. Now if I want to store or add floating point number, for example if I have number another, if I have 45.5, then now if I want to print the type of this variable, we know that it must be float, since we have stored a float variable inside it, a float value inside it. See, now it is float. So integer can be any integer. For example, if I want to put -89 also, it doesn't matter, still it is integer. If I want to put 890, still it is integer. But for floating point, if our point has a decimal number, for example 45.9, if I run this program, still it is float. So if our number has a decimal point, then its data type in Python will be float. If it does not have any decimal point and it is only integer, it can be minus or it can be plus, then it is called int data type in Python. Let's now discuss about complex data type in Python. Complex data type in Python, we know that it's also a numeric data type. It has two parts. It's real part and imaginary part. Let's give an example. If you have a number like 67 plus 7j. So now this type of number in Python is called complex number, since it has real number and this imaginary number. Now if I want to print the type of this value or this data type, now I can say type, I will say num. See, it is complex data type. So totally we can say that in Python we have three types of numeric data type: float, complex, and int. Now let's discuss about Boolean data type. We know that in Python, Boolean data types are used to store either true or false. For example, if I have a variable is valid, and if I store a value called true inside it. Now if I want to print, I can print its data type using type function. If I say is valid, see, its data type is bool, so it is called Boolean data type. It can have another value also false, so now its data type is bool. And the last data type that we need to discuss in Python is non-type. And non-type represent that our variable doesn't have any value, or it represents that our variable is empty. For example, if I have a variable and I do not know what to store inside this one, then I can give a value called none. And now if I want to print the data type for this one, I will say print type age, so it will print class none. So totally we have non data type, Boolean data type, numeric data type, and also we have some other data types that I will make a separate videos on them. Like we have list, we have dictionary, we have set, we have tuple, that inshallah I will make separate videos for them. Finally, thanks for watching. If you like the video, please subscribe and like the video. Thanks for watching.